The Taj Mahal, a monument of unparalleled, almost impossible beauty.
People say that heaven has been recreated on earth.
Today, investigations are revealing an astonishing new story to this magnificent mausoleum.
It's really strange. Now that I know it, I can never not see it.
A set of hidden clues left by an emperor obsessed with increasing his own power. Can cracking the Taj Mahal's hidden symbolic code reveal the truth behind this marvel? To solve these mysteries, we will blow the Taj Mahal apart. We'll look within its flawless marble walls and beneath its gravity-defying dome to reveal the incredible secrets of this iconic wonder. Millions visit India's Taj Mahal every year, drawn to its striking beauty and touched by the tragic tale at its heart. Emperor Shah Jahan began building the Taj in 1631, a tomb for his wife Mumtaz Mahal, lost giving birth to their 14th child. And it has been a symbol of love ever since. But hidden within these walls lies another story, an astonishing tale of power, obsession, and betrayal.
Every famous thing, whether a person or a monument, has some mysteries behind it.
What's interesting about the Taj Mahal is that people associate it with love, but there is so much more to that story.
The Taj Mahal is a masterpiece. The gigantic mausoleum sits on a 100,000 square foot marble platform, surrounded by 4 identical 140-foot towers. The building's domes and arches are a symphony of symmetrical design. And behind 12-foot thick walls, an 8-walled tomb built for a tragic empress. Said to be perfect from every angle, this majestic structure is both a building and a work of art. The Taj Mahal has become an icon of its home country. Its stunning outline is familiar from countless films and photographs of India.
In some ways, the Taj Mahal has come to be associated with being particularly Indian, whatever that's supposed to mean.
But how Indian is it really? Aditya Dhanapal believes the Taj's shape and structure help reveal a very different origin. The best place to uncover the Taj's true story is just outside the building, in the bustling streets of Agra.
What's interesting is that you can look at these structures and you can try to piece together a story about who built this place, what kind of influences from across the world are feeding into the architecture.
The Taj building seems to stand out from those that surround it. As in Shah Jahan's time, the majority of India's population follow the Hindu religion, a belief reflected in the style of buildings. Hindu shrines and temples are bright and colorful, very different to the sober mausoleum just a few hundred yards away. Hindus worship a diverse array of gods.
Within Hinduism, there are numerous gods and goddesses, and they have a lot of animals associated with them. So, for instance, Ganesha is the elephant-headed god, and it's fairly common to have a little idol or a picture of your god of choice in the dashboard of your car or in your shop or house.
As a tomb built in honor of an empress, the Taj represents a deeply sacred structure. But it has none of the imagery of the Hindu religion. Why? The walls of the Taj reflect Emperor Shah Jahan's very different religion. The 4 tall towers are minarets, more commonly seen on mosques in the Middle East. The pointed archways on top of the windows and gateways are an ancient Iraqi design. What looks like intricate patterns around the walls are entire passages from the Quran. And inside the mausoleum, each of the 8 walls symbolizes one of the 8 gates to paradise. The Taj is richly infused with the imagery and symbolism of Islam. This mausoleum isn't just a symbol of the Shah's love. It's also a display of his personal power and beliefs. Shah Jahan was an Islamic outsider, occupying a largely Hindu land. His ancestors conquered from the east, creating a vast territory known as the Mughal Empire. He had power over a quarter of the world's population. How did he manage to win over so many different people? Above the rooftops, Aditya spots a clue.
At the distance, you can see the Taj Mahal, and right in front of us, we can see a Hindu temple. What's similar between the Hindu temple and the Taj Mahal is this pointing finial on top of both of these structures.
At the very top of the Taj sits a shape seen in Hindu religious ceremonies.
They're both in some ways meant to resemble a kalash or like a pot, which is a auspicious symbol within India. So you can see that there is a sympathy towards local Hindu practices.
The Shah realized that imposing his culture and religion on the local population might win him more enemies than friends.
Shah Jahan literally means king of the world, and even if he didn't control the entire world, he kind of imagined that all the cultures of the world need to blend within India.
He had to be a shrewd politician to keep control of a massive empire made up of many different faiths. But thanks to the laws of his religion, he was still able to display his true conviction in a very discreet way.
Within Islam, there is a notion that Allah is never to be represented in his physical form. And what is usually done is that the worship of God is done through symbols.
Unlike the colorful gods seen in Hindu buildings, human and animal imagery is largely forbidden in Islam. So the Shah laid a set of hidden clues in the Taj. A secret symbolic code that revealed his true faith only to Islamic observers. The mausoleum floor bears an 8-pointed star, repeated in a potentially infinite geometric pattern. A reminder of the infinite nature of Allah. The perfectly proportioned calligraphy on the gateways is an art form in itself. To an Islamic eye, it symbolizes God's love of beauty. And the walls of the tomb are covered in ornate floral engravings, evoking the rich abundance of paradise. The Taj's ornate floral engraving is still as beautiful and colorful today as when it was first created nearly 400 years ago. Outside the Taj, Aditya is gaining deeper insight into the creation of these works of art.
So we're in Tajganj still, and Tajganj was meant as a place where artisans and shopkeepers could sell their wares outside the city fortifications. And what's really exciting is that so many of these craftsmen and artisans still survive today.
Some of the craftsmen in this area are direct descendants of the men who created the inlaid patterns in the Shah's time. And the techniques haven't changed.
They take semi-precious stones which are colorful. Back then, everything would have been done by hand. Now they have the machine to kind of just polish the edges, and they embed them within a stone surface. Shah Jahan is actively collecting these artisans and setting them up in a workshop. And he's providing them with the best kinds of materials from across the globe. The stone, the lapis is coming from Afghanistan, and lapis is a particular kind of stone that only comes from that particular mine.
It can take weeks to craft a pattern. These may look like beautifully simple decorations, but for the Islamic Shah, the position of every stone had a hidden meaning.
The material is coming from across the world, but the design is very much following traditional Islamic ideas of beauty, which is always symmetrical, always a lot of floral patterns, but there's also a lot of detailed calligraphy, and it's very much trying to invoke a certain kind of imagery of paradise through these designs.
The Shah was trying to create something so perfect it would conjure up nothing less than an impression of paradise. But the sheer amount of decoration takes the message beyond pure religious symbolism. It's the Shah telling the world how great he is.
Usually people associate the Taj Mahal as a monument of love, but in some ways one can also read the construction of such a building as an extremely political gesture. Here's Shah Jahan, who claims to be the emperor of the world, and he's really showing off. He's showing off how powerful he is, how wealthy his empire is, and also how refined his own taste is, and how he wants to be seen as an aesthete and remembered by future generations as one.
The Taj was not built just as a monument to lost love. It's a billboard for the Shah to spell out his beliefs. And now researchers are uncovering a whole host of different messages encoded in the Taj's walls. What does the obsessive hunt for one very particular stone reveal about the Shah's lust for supreme power? Legend states India's Taj Mahal was built out of undying love, driven by Emperor Shah Jahan's grief after his wife's death. But the building also holds clues to different motives. The Shah's unusual choice of stone reveals his megalomania. He never missed an opportunity to promote his own power. Previous Mughal emperors had monumental mausoleums and forts built largely from the local red sandstone. The Shah broke with tradition and used rare and expensive pure white marble. So why choose this particular stone just for a tomb for his late wife?
Because it is using only that kind of marble, the Taj is wonder of wonder.
This massive tomb contains several thousand half-ton blocks of pure white marble. And to support this mass of heavy rock, a 12-foot thick supporting skeleton. Millions of locally sourced red sandstone bricks form a hidden backbone. There is around 20 times more sandstone in the building than marble. Iron dowels anchor the marble firmly in place, so the Taj's precious facade never slips. Why did the Shah go through all this trouble just for a skin of white marble? The answer lies in the hidden propaganda message this stone could carry. Today, there is a rare chance to find out just how far he went for the pure white marble he so desperately desired. Munazar Ali oversees an urgent project to restore the Taj's main gateway.
You can see here the red sandstone panels are totally worn out.
Here, 300 yards from the main tomb, the Shah used white marble mostly as a decorative inlay. As rain and sun wear sandstone away, the decoration disappears.
When the inlay panel is lost, the inlay pieces are also falling down.
Replicating the Shah's building plan is no simple task for Munazar.
We are using only traditional kind of mortar, traditional kind of marble, traditional kind of sandstone, and from same quarries. So no compromise, because Taj is Taj.
White marble was key to a message the Shah wanted to proclaim with his mausoleum. But to begin to decipher this message means first finding the Shah's stone. The nearest source lies over 200 miles away, the Makrana marble mines. Abinandan Bansal runs one of the quarries here.
These quarries are ancient, 400 to 500 years back. My family is looking after these mines for the last 120 years.
Extracting the right color of marble is a real challenge. First, miners pry off a 3-ton chunk of stone. Then cranes carefully raise the block to the surface. Even using today's heavy lifting equipment, the process is difficult and dangerous. In the Shah's time, it was even tougher. First, quarry workers descended into 200-foot-deep trenches to reach the pure marble seam. Using simple hammers and chisels, they broke away 6-ton blocks. Rope and pulley cranes operated by elephants raised the marble from the trench. Each block had to be hauled 200 miles to the Taj. On site, specialist stonemasons split the blocks and worked them into perfect tiles. Ropes and pulleys allowed the builders to once again harness the power of the elephant to raise the tiles into place. Creating pure white marble tiles is a daunting task even today. Even within a few inches, colors can change dramatically.
In this mine, all qualities come out from the same rock. You see the marble, and you see that it has got a grayish portion, the semi-gray portion, and this 2.5-foot portion is pure white. From this, we extract the pure white marble.
Workers carefully align each block so the white marble vein runs the right way. Then they use 5-foot-long saws to slice up the block, dividing it into sections by color. After a day of hard work, Abinandan has marble tiles to match the Taj.
This is the pure white marble, which is extracted from the big piece. And it is the most expensive marble which is used in the Taj Mahal today. And the property of this marble, you can see, it does not change color.
The effort required to obtain pure white marble is immense. So why did the Shah choose it? The answer lies in the types of buildings that usually order marble from Makrana. White stone buildings are often the houses of Hindu priests, the highest social class. So perhaps the Shah's white walls were a piece of propaganda aimed directly at the local population, a way to declare almost godlike power over his people. Once complete, this facade will dazzle today's tourists. But it once would have made locals think of the Shah's supreme authority. The Taj's dome is its most spectacular feature. Almost half the height of the entire mausoleum and spanning 60 feet. It forms a crucial element of the Shah's symbolic code. But it's also the source of this building's most enduring construction mystery. Because no accurate accounts were made at the time it was built, no one knows exactly how the dome was put together.
How they did building at that time and exactly what the structure consists of, we're not really sure.
Structural engineer Steve McKechnie heads a team who specialize in designing large and unconventional buildings, including the Singapore Sports Hub, the biggest dome in the world today. Now this team is going to use their modern-day expertise to investigate a nearly 400-year-old legend surrounding the Taj's dome. The challenge with building a dome is that as it arches inwards, the roof can become unstable. Worried about a collapse, legend has it the Shah's engineers built a huge tower of bricks for his unfinished dome to rest on. And once the dome was finished and stable, the Shah simply opened the gates to the Taj, and locals desperate for bricks stripped the tower overnight. It's a great story, but Steve's not sure the colorful legend of the Shah's brick tower stands up.
Building a solid support and then taking it away, it would be a huge number of bricks that you'd need to fill that space. And it would be just a little bit daft, I think. We've had a bit of a discussion here in the office about how the builders would have made this dome. So we're going to have a go at building our mini Taj at 1:160 scale.
The dome is built by stacking bricks, one on top of the other.
Dome purists would tell you that a dome needs to have its bricks arranged with their bed joints perpendicular to the thrust in the arch. So the bricks go like this, and the next one goes like that.
Tilting the stone to form a curve is the conventional way to build a brick dome. When complete, it creates an incredibly strong inner shell. But building a dome this way, the bricks would probably need substantial support during construction, making the solid brick tower a more likely possibility. Steve has a different theory.
My theory is the corbel of bricks. That means that you lay one brick sticking out a little bit beyond the brick below, and you make a space underneath by doing that. So I can build up to here, so long as I'm careful and I'm leaving a space underneath, and then build up bricks behind to keep it stable.
This stepped curve needs thick walls to stop the overhanging bricks from falling in. But the advantage is this dome could potentially be built up with no solid support underneath. And once the team adds mortar to lock the bricks firmly in place, the structure holds firm, all the way to the top.
So we've built this model here, and I think that my theory has been proven. My feeling is that that's a more practical and buildable way of having built this dome. So I think that's the most probable method that was used.
Perhaps using this clever technique, the Shah's engineers could have raised the Taj's massive dome without a solid brick support. And the dome's gravity-defying shape was a key part of the Shah's symbolic code. The Taj's base is a square, representing Earth. The dome has an almost circular outline, the perfect shape to remind the viewer of the perfection and eternity of heaven. So the building is a model of the entire universe, with the tomb in between a portal to paradise. And as with everything else with the Taj, the Shah pushed this symbolism to the limit. The Taj's massive, almost circular dome sent out a strong symbolic message, reminding onlookers of the perfection of heaven. But from the inside, because it's so tall, it could have looked like a cavernous black hole, making observers feel uncomfortable. So the Shah's engineers cheated. They built a false marble ceiling, nearly 100 feet below the apex. This dome within a dome brings heaven closer to Earth, allowing the Shah to make a symbolic statement, both outside and in. And right at the heart of the building lies one of its greatest mysteries. In this tomb built for an empress lie two bodies, not one. The second is the emperor himself. Was this part of his grand plan or something darker? There's more to India's Taj Mahal than its famous legend of lost love. At its very heart lurks a massive mystery. Whereas every previous Mughal ruler has an entire mausoleum built for themselves, there's something very different about the Shah.
All Mughal emperors, they were having their tombs separate from their queens. So Shah Jahan must have been intending to have his own tomb as well.
But looking inside the Taj Mahal reveals things didn't work out that way. Right at the heart of the Taj, dead center below the apex of the dome, is the sarcophagus of Empress Mumtaz Mahal. But squashed in awkwardly beside her is that of her husband, Shah Jahan. Both caskets are empty. They're only decoys. The real bodies are hidden in a crypt just below, in identical positions to the ones above. And they raise a question. If the Taj Mahal is meant to be a tomb for an empress, what is the all-powerful Shah doing squeezed right beside her? Archaeologist Pratap Sengar has spent decades unearthing Mughal ruins along the same riverbanks as the Taj. Like many, he's eager to understand why the Shah's sarcophagus ended up in its awkward spot. One popular theory is the emperor's body was forced into the Taj against his wishes.
The proportions and symmetry of Taj Mahal is perfect except the grave of Emperor Shah Jahan. It is believed that Shah Jahan may not have intended to put himself there.
The Shah spent the last 8 years of his life in nearby Agra Fort, imprisoned by his power-hungry son, Aurangzeb.
Although he was not handcuffed, he was under house arrest. He died in 1666 AD. His body was brought from Agra Fort to Taj Mahal by boat and interred in the tomb.
Aurangzeb, according to the popular theory, placed his father in the Taj out of spite, deliberately destroying the symmetrical layout of the mausoleum as a snub to the Shah. But 2 miles upriver, a building provides clues to a very different explanation. This is the Baby Taj. Completed just 3 years before the Taj began, it's a tomb for a distant relative of the Shah. After years of neglect, Pratap's team is returning this once magnificent tomb to its original splendor.
We intend to revive the garden as per original Mughal garden layout, the revival of barter system, architectural restoration, and restoration of pathway.
This rebuilding work reveals that the mausoleum was a key influence on the Shah's plans for the Taj.
This is first Mughal building which is built up entirely of white marble. This was inspiration for Emperor Shah Jahan to plan something much more grand and much more beautiful.
The similarities to the Taj Mahal are striking. Like the Taj, the building's 4 sides are identical. 4 waterways once flowed through a garden divided into 4 squares. And there's one final similarity at the heart of the building. The Baby Taj has an unusual arrangement of coffins. The tomb's main sarcophagus sits dead center in the building, right at the heart of the site. But sitting beside it lies another coffin.
The grave is in the center, as per tradition, and the grave of his wife is on the side.
Like the Taj, this second coffin is the only asymmetrical aspect of the mausoleum's entire floor plan. And it suggests that this is perhaps where Shah Jahan found inspiration for his own unconventional resting place inside the Taj. Nobody knows for sure. But perhaps after the effort of creating the magnificent Taj Mahal and cramming it with symbols of his own power and status, the Shah couldn't resist lying for eternity beside his beloved wife. The influence of the Shah's symbolic master plan stretches even further. It dictated the location of the entire Taj complex. Putting this massive building right next to a raging river was a very risky decision. But could this precarious position pay off as another part of the Shah's symbolic code? The Taj Mahal is more than just a symbol of lost love. Its founder, Emperor Shah Jahan, wanted the building to state his own religious and political beliefs. The Taj's waterways had to spell out a very specific religious message. To Islamic eyes, they needed to look like rivers of paradise that flow through the Garden of Eden.
Water is very, very important for life, and accordingly, in many religions, the water and rivers have been respected.
But to realize this vision of Eden, the Taj's builders had to site the mausoleum perilously close to the city's main water source, the mighty river Yamuna. How did they stop the Taj from washing away? The Taj might look ornate and delicate, but all the stone adds up to nearly 40,000 tons. To bear this colossal weight, the builders needed stable support. They built huge foundation pillars that extend 40 feet beneath the floor, reaching through soft sand to solid ground below. There are over 24 of these giants sitting right under the Taj Mahal. They anchor the marble monument to the ground and stop the Taj sinking into the muddy riverbank. So what part of the Shah's secret code made this extreme effort worthwhile? Lining the Taj's canals are nearly 100 fountains. They create an impression of sacred springs erupting with the waters of life. Today, electric pumps power these elegant waterworks. But in the 17th century, visitors to the Taj would have been astonished at the spectacle of so many jets spurting into the air. So how did the Shah's engineers do it? Rajender Pandey studies ancient water systems. He's determined to find out what could have driven the Taj's 96 fountains.
I am here behind the Taj Mahal on river Yamuna, the ancient water supply to the fountain of Taj Mahal.
Rajender searches for signs of 17th century plumbing. Any clues to how engineers could generate the massive water pressure needed to create the Shah's symbolic Garden of Eden. High on the bank, he spots the remains of the original waterworks.
From here, we can see here between the trees this ancient structure which have small projections towards the river.
Rajender believes this 17th century wall could be the remains of an ancient system of raising water known as purs. Designed to create water pressure, a purs starts with a line of pulleys along a wall. Workers rig up a line of animal hide buckets, which they lower into the river below. Once the water reaches the top of the wall, it pours into a stone channel. Then further sets of purs lift the water high above the Taj's garden. But is this gravity-fed system alone enough to transform the garden into the Shah's vision of paradise. Rajendra and his assistant are going to test the theory.
We are preparing a model similar to the fountain that is installed in front of Taj Mahal.
Just like at the Taj, this rooftop water tank generates pressure through gravity, powering taps and showers in rooms below. First, the team attach a rubber hose to the tank. Then they carefully join 3 identical nozzles to act as the fountains. But when the water starts to flow, there's a problem.
There is a difference in pressure, and this ejection of water is lower than these two.
The jets from the 3 nozzles don't match. So how did the Shah's engineers make nearly 100 fountains erupt to an equal height? Underground investigations may give the answer. Beneath each fountain, the water flows into mysterious metal spheres. Could these be a clue to creating equal pressure? Rajendra tries a new tactic. He adds a matching set of metal chambers.
We are trying to neutralize the pressure difference with a reservoir just below the fountain.
In theory, all the reservoirs should fill first, and only then will water flow to the nozzles. This way, each jet should erupt with equal pressure.
Now you see the ejection of water is equal and model is perfectly working.
Thanks to this ingenious engineering, the 3 jets rise to the same height, forming ever-erupting springs of life, perfect for the Shah's symbolic Garden of Eden. And beyond this ingenious engineering, there's more to the Shah's symbolic puzzle. The layout of the entire Taj complex has a hidden meaning all of its own. The Taj Mahal is richly infused with hidden symbolic messages. They suggest more than a simple story of lost love lies behind the construction of this majestic monument. One aspect that strikes many of the millions of visitors each year is the almost excessive amount of symmetry built into the Taj. Could this symmetry itself be a part of the Shah's symbolic code? Landscape archaeologist M.B. Rajani has found a position directly opposite the monument to measure the Taj's symmetry.
Look at the monument. You will see the left side is almost same as the right side. The decorations, the structure, the size, the number of domes, all are absolutely same. It's very difficult to really make out any difference from one side to the other.
Symmetry begins at the heart of the Taj. The Shah's central mausoleum is an octagon, surrounded by 4 square and 4 octagonal chambers, creating 4 planes of symmetry. On each of the 4 corners, an identical minaret. To match a mosque to the west, the Shah built an identical guest house. The garden consists of 16 squares, 4 small squares inside 4 larger squares. And across the river, a mirror image of the Shah's entire garden. So the building sits at the center of a symmetrical floor plan. And all this symmetry forms a key part of the Shah's symbolic master plan.
We do see a lot of symmetry and an attempt to achieve perfection in Islamic art and architecture, trying to get close to the Almighty.
This is the reason the Shah used symmetry on such a vast scale. Symmetry was a way to show the perfection and infinite nature of his Islamic God, without directly representing Allah's image. And like elsewhere in the Taj, the Shah took this symbolic idea to its extreme. But Rajani's latest research is finding something very unexpected.
So here is a photograph which serves my purpose. And I draw a line marking the left curve, and then I draw a line marking the right curve. After I have identified the center of the drum and use this software to measure pixels from the central line to the right edge and to the left edge.
The computer counts pixels on either side of the dome, revealing an asymmetry the naked eye struggles to spot.
It is amazing that there are angles in which one side is larger than the other by almost a meter.
The 3-foot bulge in the dome may not be visible at first glance, but it represents a more than 5% difference between the sides. How did this happen? Rajani believes that despite the Shah's obsession with symmetry, there was a limit to how closely his builders could match the need for perfection.
It's easier to get symmetry in 2D layouts, like in the gardens of Taj Mahal, whereas it would be very difficult to get that symmetry in a 3D complex shape.
Small discrepancy in their measurements would be amplified when building something as complex as the massive dome. But even though the millions of visitors to the Taj may never notice, this man-made flaw may be an unconscious source of the Taj's timeless beauty.
The general perception is beauty is in symmetry, that beautiful people have symmetry in their faces and that's why they are beautiful. But actually, if you have a closer look at any face, it's not symmetrical at all.
True symmetry is rare in the real world. A little asymmetry may be more familiar to most people's everyday experience. Like the most beautiful faces, the dome's tiny asymmetry could be a significant part of the Taj's almost universal appeal.
Taj is not symmetric, but it is still very, very beautiful.
The Taj Mahal is a true wonder of the world. Perhaps the most beautiful building ever created. But its legend of lost love is far from the only tale told by these majestic walls. The building's hidden political and religious messages are perhaps just as powerful and as potent as its famous love story. But in the end, the story of love shines through in a couple destined to spend eternity together.